name's James. My Instagram is Jimmy Doing Things, and I drive a 1995 110 Defender. So the car I purchased a bit over 12 months ago, and it was already extensively modified when I bought it. I actually first saw the car on the cover of, I think it was 4Drive Custom magazine, about 10 years ago or so, at least. And it looked much the same as it does now. It hasn't actually changed a huge amount in that time. Little bits and pieces have changed. That article was actually really wrong. They got a lot of information wrong, but unfortunately it doesn't have an atlas, as it said in that particular article, but it does have portal axles. It does have a 2.8 international diesel motor, which is a larger variant of the Land Rover 300 TDI. It's been converted to an auto. The auto has been built and a few bits and pieces like that. So I bought it as an engineered vehicle on 37s and brought it down here to Victoria, and so the fun begins. So the vehicle has got maxi drive portals. It's also got maxi drive lockers front and rear, and also has hydraulic rear steer at the moment, which is also a maxi drive product, which I only recently found out. The portals give me an extra 5 inches of ground clearance, and then turning the 37s. So it's a seriously high vehicle, as you can see. It's got 2 inches of spring lift as well at the moment, so she's a pretty long way up, but hopefully we'll change that soon enough and get it a little lower. The International 2.8 is just a nice little diesel motor. Enough torque for what I want. It's not a powerhouse by any means, but it suits my driving style, and it's economical and torquey enough to get the job done. And the rear steer, I haven't done a huge amount with the rear steer. I personally don't think I actually need it. It's not something that I would have done to the vehicle if I was starting a build from scratch, and so that's pretty likely to go fairly shortly. Make it a bit stronger and a bit more reliable. So as far as getting the car ready for the event, I'm probably a little apprehensive about the length of my list, but there's some things that I really have to get done. In the couple of trips that I've had it out on in the last 12 months, not that there's been many because of COVID, but I found that the power steering was pretty much shot. So I've got a new power steering box for it, which was actually out of one of my older builds from a Discovery, and it's been fully built with bigger seals and bigger bearings, and it has the Discovery 1 style pitman arm, which gives us a bit of extra clearance and a bit of extra strength. So that's definitely going in. I'm going to do some reasonably significant suspension modifications, shocks and springs, and some geometry changes as well, which we'll leave to later dates. But we're going to change quite a lot of stuff, get rid of the rear steer, go to a solid axle, and as far as all that extensive stuff goes, that's about it. I do have a high mount winch at home off a previous build, and a winch bar that I built for my last Defender as well. That will get modified slightly and adapted onto this. I'm going to build that high mount a little bit better than it is now. It's got a Vaughan 9.5 winch motor on it at the moment, and it's all been fully rebuilt. We're just going to put a plus 76 air freespool drum and a brake shaft in there as well, just for a bit of extra strength and reliability. If I get the time, I'll convert it to 24 volts. We'll see how we go. I do have an Odyssey 1750 battery in the car at the moment, and if I can afford it, I'll buy another one and we'll make it a 24 volt. So yeah, that's about it. We might throw some extra lights and things on. The car is equipped with underbody lights, but I might just throw a few extras on just for the serious amount of nighttime driving we're going to be doing during the event. So yeah, there's a lot to be done. It's a big list, but I do have a list and I'm going to try and tick it off. So the purpose of this vehicle for me, I purchased it as it's got to be a touring rig, it's got to be a play rig, it's got to be something that I can drive comfortably. I want it to be something that I can jump in tomorrow and drive it up north, or I can go to the high country and do a 5-day trip away hunting or whatever it happens to be, or I can just go and do some touring with my girlfriend and go and do some exploring. So it needs to be able to tackle really hard tracks because it's good fun, but it's an all-purpose sort of vehicle. When I purchased it, I knew that it wasn't set up for that specifically, but I didn't buy it as a vehicle that I was just going to turn the key and drive away. I sort of looked at it as more of a new project, and I'm taking this big pile of parts and making it into something that suits me better. Down the track, I may even throw a dual cab on it, just to make it a bit more family friendly, because I'm not that far off that sort of age, unfortunately. So yeah, it needs to be something that's going to stick around for the amount of effort and time and dare I say money. It's something that I want to be as versatile as possible. I think the reliability and things is going to be king over all else. There's no doubt that all the vehicles that are coming have got both good drivers and are well set up. So reliability is going to be everything. I personally want to make sure that I'm at the end. I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that there's no weak links in this car by that stage, and we'll try and get to the end. I've got very high hopes and things that the Landies will all be there at the end, because I think an endurance event sort of suits our driving style pretty well. I don't have an option other than to go quite slowly up these tracks, which sometimes can be advantageous and not breaking things. So I have a feeling that if there's going to be issues, there could be unforeseen mechanical issues that you're not going to come across all the time. They might not be your common bits and pieces. I think there's going to be a few CVs, but people will be able to swap those out and keep moving. Some of the higher horsepower trucks could have some issues, or they could be perfectly fine. It just comes down to who's up to it on the day. Personally, I don't know anybody well enough to say you're definitely going home on a tow truck, but yeah, I think everyone's going to do their best to make sure that they're there at the end. So my navvy is one of my best mates. He's a bit like a brother to me, but he's also quite a good counterweight. He's a big fella, and if I'm on a bit of an angle, he can swing out off the side and keep it on all fours. But no, he's a good friend of mine. We've done a lot of forward driving together over the years, and he's also pretty good at pulling an all-nighter. So he'll find a way of keeping me awake and getting us through it. And hopefully he's got the stamina to run up and down the hills if and when required. Plan to stay awake? It's got to be a mix of coffee and a thermos, plenty of good music, and just, I don't know, I've always found on really long drives a bit of chocolate here and there is always good. Just there's a fridge in the centre console, so that'll be stocked with chocolate and all sorts of things like that, and just keep nibbling away. But it is going to be hard, but I think the adrenaline's going to get us through it. Always has in the past. We've done plenty of missions where we've sort of finished at 5:30 in the morning and you kick the swag out and go to sleep for a few hours and get up and do it all again. So It's not easy to stay awake and concentrate for that long, but I think we'll get through it. We'll make it happen. There's always ways.